All right, family. So we are going to get started. Tonight is part two of track two with Karen Share. And we have Jesse and Taylor here tonight to go over family meals. So there's a lot to go through. So I'm just going to send it over to Jesse to get started. And all right.
Hi, you guys. How are you all? I can see a few faces. While everyone's joining, we want to review a little bit from last week. So if you guys want to unmute or chat in, I kind of want everyone to unmute if you can. And then I'm just going to ask you the little caveats about each section of my plate, and I want to see if you guys can finish the answers. So half of each of our plate at every meal is supposed to be what?
Grain, dairy, veggie, fruit, protein.
Okay, so those are all the food categories. And fruits and veggies make up what of our plate?
Half.
Okay. Do French fries count?
Potatoes are more of a grain.
More of a grain. Okay, good. With the produce, we want to eat the what? Think of Skittles commercials.
The rainbow.
Yeah, we want to eat the rainbow, get this variety of colors for a variety of nutrients. Half of our grains, we want to be, what kind of grains? Yeah, Ashley, whole grains.
Whole grains.
What kind of fat do we want to be low? Not zero, but low in our dairy and our proteins. Starts with an S.
Saturated.
Saturated fats on the low side. And what about zero? What kind of fat do we want none of in our diet if we can avoid it?
Trans fat, maybe.
Trans fat.
Yep.
Okay. And last week we had a lot of people who were not too keen on dairy. So if you are one of our people who are not keen on dairy, what do we want the front of the box to say if we're using a dairy alternative? Two things. One has to do with nutrients and one has to do with sugar.
No sugar added, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no sugar added, or they say unsweetened on the front, it'll say unsweetened. Yeah. And then the other one is enriched, right? Because we want our milks to have all that calcium in it and all the vitamin A and vitamin D. Okay. There was a phrase that we used when we were talking about the different types of meat as they get healthier. So it was less feet, better meat.
100.
But even with that, we do still want the variety, right? So even with meat, it's healthier to eat fish and beans and that kind of stuff. But we also occasionally want to switch it up so that we get different types of vitamins and minerals, just like with the fruits and vegetables. So another thing, and I'm not sure if this, or there might have been a couple of people, but I was reviewing the chat from our last meeting and I saw a lot of suggestions about honey. So one thing we want to clarify is that honey is still sugar. So it does have a little bit of nutrition in it, and it does have a little bit of almost medicinal benefits to them because it has the bee pollen and stuff like that. But if you're thinking of it as terms as a sugar replacement, it still has a lot of sugar in it. So if you're diabetic or if you're trying to lose weight or reduce your sugar intake for any reason, honey is not really going to help us as far as reducing our sugar intake, even though it does taste good. Okay. And the last thing from last week that you guys brought up was raw milk benefits. And so I did a whole bunch of research on that. But we're not going to talk about it first. We'll talk about it at the end if anyone still wants to. I did find some research. Okay, so today, what I really want to do is, first of all, I want to introduce Taylor. You want to introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about your nutrition background.
Sure. So hi everyone, my name's Taylor and I also coordinate Cooking Matters with Jesse in Colorado Springs and El Paso County. My background is in nutrition, so I have my bachelor's in nutrition, and then I served an AmeriCorps term with Cooking Matters and then joined with Care and Share, and I've been there for about 2 years now.
Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, kind of how we planned the one meal last time, but we're gonna look at planning a whole week. We're going to talk about why we want to involve the kids in planning the weekly menu. And then we're going to practice doing that on a budget. That's our Super Broke activity. And then Taylor's going to talk about the basic fundamentals of keeping a pantry and why it's so good to have a pantry kept. And then we'll share some framework recipes. So last week we polled everyone and we said, what are some of the challenges we have at mealtime? You know, because we get home from work, we're already tired. A lot of you guys had said you just need new recipe ideas. Another big one was having a picky eater. And the last one was having enough time and energy at the end of the day. So the exercise we went through where we just ask everybody, what's your favorite meal? That's a really good way to get new ideas. When you're bored, you need new ideas. Make one single Facebook post and just say, what's everybody's favorite dinner on Facebook? And you will get 20 replies. No kidding. Everyone will want to share their favorite dinner on Facebook. And then another trick that I have to share is when I'm looking for an inexpensive recipe or a simple recipe, I always pick what I want. Like say I want chicken enchiladas. I'm gonna Google 5-ingredient chicken enchiladas. Instead of just chicken enchiladas, if you put that 5-ingredient or that 3-ingredient in your search bar, you're gonna get the recipes that have less ingredients, so it's not gonna quite cost as much, and then you can flavor them however you want. And the magazines at the doctor's office. I always, when I was a little bit younger, I used to rip out the recipes that I liked from the magazines, and I realized that that's not nice because other people might want to look at them. So you can take pictures of them with your cell phone and you'll have them. Our second one with picky eaters. So we had a couple good suggestions around fruits and vegetables, but if you guys want to also chat in any tips you have found that work with your own picky eaters that you can share with other people in the group. I looked at some actual research based on picky eaters, and there were 3 things that they found like scientifically proven to help picky eaters eat more foods that you want them to eat. So the number 1 thing was to eat with them. So you're going to put the food on their plate, and even if you know you're not going to eat it, instead of telling them, you got to eat that, you got to eat that, you got to eat that. If you want dessert, you have to eat it. You just sit there with them and you let them see you eating it. So that was the number 1 proven way to get kids new foods. Another one was offering a reward, but not a food reward, which I thought was interesting. So we say like, oh, eat your veggies and then you can have a brownie for dessert. That doesn't work. According to science, what works is offering them a different kind of reward. So if you eat all your veggies, then you can watch this show. Or even better, if you eat all your veggies, you can go on a walk after dinner or do something fun and active after dinner. Looking in the chat, we have to just keep offering it. Yes. Hide the good foods and things they like. So that's another good one, is you can blend up fruits and veggies in a slurry and put them in a tomato sauce or in a popsicle, things like that. We talked about making smoothies. And the comment for Ashley, we just have to keep offering it. That was the 3rd research point, was it may take a picky eater 10 to 15 times to try something new before they like it. So if you just keep offering it to them without a whole bunch of pressure put on them, then they should eventually at least try it or maybe like it. The other ones that were not on the research list, but things that I've tried because I work with kids for like a really long time, is I always say brownie bites. Take one little bite. A Also, having them pick out the foods at the grocery store and having them meal plan, which is what we're talking about today, is going to help them. Kids just get excited when they know that it's a vegetable that they got to pick. They're going to want to try it at dinner time. They're going to be more excited about it. And so if everyone is picking a meal and stuff that they like, then what I tell my kids is, even if they don't like something, you know, if they start to take a bite, I don't like it. I just say, you don't have to like it. You have to eat it, you know? So it might not be your favoriteest dish, but if it's okay and you think you can eat it, just eat it anyway. And later in the week, you're gonna have your favorite dish. So kids don't need to know that everything's gonna be the most delicious, yummiest thing, but as long as they know that, you know, it's gonna help them grow big and strong, maybe they'll try it. And the last one that was our #1 reason for challenges at mealtime is having enough time and energy at the end of the day. Okay. So that ties totally into meal planning. And I had planned to like act out a conversation for you guys that I would have with my husband, but I felt a little silly doing that. So I'm just gonna give you an example. I'm gonna talk through it. Is, let's say I've been working all day. It's 5 o'clock, I'm getting ready to head home. My hubby who works nights, I call him and say, hey, what's for dinner? And of course, he's gonna say, oh, can we have pizza? Say, no, we had pizza twice last week, okay? Don't we have chicken in the refrigerator? And he's gonna tell me, well, the chicken's not marinated, so it's gonna taste all dry, it's not gonna be good. And we'll go back and forth and we'll end up having pizza or something else that's like super convenient and easy and maybe not the healthiest, okay? Versus a week, so that's Jesse in one mode. Jesse in the other mode is, I call my husband at 5 o'clock and I say, hey babe, there's chicken marinating in the fridge. Can you go warm up the grill and throw some brown rice on the stove? So he just says, okay. He's not going to argue with me about what he wants and what he has. I've already decided that that's what we're having that day. I have that in my mind. I spent 5 minutes cutting the chicken breasts in half and putting them in a bag with some Italian dressing. So they're just already ready to go. That being said, what is the main difference in those two modes? You guys can unmute if you want to.
Being prepared.
Being prepared, yeah. And so that's super done easy with just a little bit of planning, right? When I do plan, so maybe on Sunday I don't feel like planning, but if I do plan out a week worth of meals and we go shopping together, we have to go shopping anyway, so that didn't really save any time, but making that plan only took about 10 minutes for the whole week. So if I make that plan at 10 minutes on Friday, then I know when we get home from school, oh, today we are gonna have a whole grain, so it's gonna take longer to cook, so I need to start that now. So I can start that at 4 and then just know that I'm gonna do everything else for dinner right at like 5:36 when dinner time normally would be. Okay. So planning, but that's what we're discussing today. If you guys want to chat in some of the benefits, obviously, you know, eating healthier, like I said, is going to be one. Charles is saying planned meals sound good to the brain. Unprepared meals are hard to decide on because nothing sounds good at the time. Exactly. Saving money. Somebody has an app called What's for Dinner. Michelle, what is What's for Dinner?
It's just an app I got off, you know, the App Store or, you know, the Google Android app. And it's kind of nice because you can just put whatever you want in there, and it saves your most favorite things. You don't have to continually add it. And the adding is unlimited. So, and then it reminds you about 3 o'clock, you know, oh, your next meal's planned and here's what it is. So definitely my day goes a lot better when I plan in advance.
Plan in advance. Cooking Matters has an app. I'll talk to you guys about it at the end, but I like that one because you can check off the ingredients you already have after you make your list. Andriana says, having something to look forward to and not being stressed. So I think that that's super important. When you know what's going to happen, it's like not like wondering and stressing takes up so much time. You know, if you've already decided, you don't even have to think about it. You just know what you got to do, and you know how much energy you have left, so you just make yourself do it. Planning eliminates eating out. Tanya needs to try it. You should try it, Tanya. It's great. We're going to practice right now. A little honey on cooked carrots is delicious. Planning makes for less stressful evenings. How many of you have had the experience where children are fighting over what they want to have for dinner with your husband and your kids? Everyone's fighting about what we want to have. Okay, when you plan it out ahead of time, everyone can pick a day of what they want, and everyone gets what they want at least one day. So with this is going to be Cooking Matters tips for, these are the ones that we teach, and a lot of you guys have said them already. So our first one, review the family calendar, right? If you have soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays, are you going to plan to make lasagna with a side of French bread on Tuesday? Right? Not unless it's frozen, right? Create theme nights. So we've all heard of Taco Tuesdays. So say you have only like 4 people in your family and there's 7 nights in a week. So those theme nights that we stick to, some people have meatless Mondays. Those can take up those other nights that no one's choosing what's for dinner those nights. So everybody real quick, again in the chat one more time, chat in theme nights that you all have heard of. Leftover night, that's a good one. That's usually Saturday for us. Okay, keep them coming, and I'm going to go through this some more. Ask for family favorites, so everyone can pick one each night. You don't have to do all the thinking yourself. Plan to use up items you already have. So go into that pantry, go into your refrigerator, write down everything that you have so you don't buy it again. And then think of how to incorporate that around a meal or 3 meals, depending on if the items go together or not. Use an item multiple times. So a giant pack of chicken breasts, right? We don't need to cook 12 chicken breasts if we have a family of 4. You know, we can use 3 and freeze the rest and save them. So storing and saving leftovers properly really comes into play. I don't know if you guys all picked up your books from Deborah's office yet, but in those books, it has all the ways to store and preserve our fruits and vegetables and our leftovers as well. Okay, and I even like to copy that and put that on my refrigerator for the one about cooked foods. I put that on the front of my refrigerator so I know how many days something is going to be good. And leftover night. One of you guys already said leftover night. So I'm trying to think of the other benefits that Cooking Matters has pointed out for us are saving trips to the store. We already talked about saving money, but saving trips to the store. How many of us love to run to the store for one item? Reducing convenience items, so we're going to get less sodium and sugar in our diet just by planning our meals out. And I think we covered the rest of them. Let's see in our chat what other theme nights we have. Every man for himself night. Ramen noodles, pancakes every Saturday morning, and pizza and movie night on Fridays. So yeah, we love to have movie night and pizza on Fridays. And we do popcorn on movie nights as well too. Popcorn's a really fun snack that you can make with the kids. That's very healthy. And a whole grain. Meatless Mondays, pizza Fridays. Fish Fridays, that's a tradition, is doing a fish fry Friday. Breakfast for dinner, batch cooking and freezing. That is a super good way to do it. That takes even a little extra planning, but once you do it, you don't have to plan for several weeks. Okay, the storage ideas were great, good. Okay. So here's our challenge this time. Okay. Last time you had to make one meal. This time we got to do 3 days. Okay. So you guys can tell me if this sounds familiar or not. It's Monday night, like tonight. Okay. Let's say this weekend we didn't go grocery shopping because we were too busy playing mini golf and going to the movies and going to visit grandma. Okay. So we spent a lot of money, but we didn't get any groceries. We have $40 left in the bank. Okay. So I was debating about making this between 40 and 60. Okay. I've done it before. I did 3 days with $27 once when I was a single mom. But that was before like the Great Recession of the 90s. So we're going to go into breakout rooms and you guys are going to try to use our tips. So using multiple items, having a theme night, using what you have. Okay. But because this is super broke week, we're not going to use all the stuff that you have right now in your fridge. You're only going to be able to use stuff that you always have. So stuff that you always have on hand. Okay, we always have some canned vegetables, some canned tomato sauce, that kind of stuff. All right. Remember, it's Monday. We already ate the other good stuff that we had left over. Okay. And we're going to try to get 4 food groups for dinner and lunch and 3 food groups for breakfast. Okay, and the extra one can be a snack. And the other thing is, so a lot of us, and I don't know if you guys take advantage of this or not, but our schools, our children's schools, almost all feed us free breakfast and lunch for our children, okay? So part of this activity is we're gonna realize how valuable that is, okay? I know we like to pack lunches and breakfasts when we can, but let's say we're super broke this week, we can take advantage of that, okay? So Kat is gonna put you into groups of about 5 or so. And you guys are gonna have 6:36. You guys are gonna have about 15 minutes.
You want to do 15? Okay.
And then I want you guys, someone to write down everything, and then either when we're done, you're gonna take a picture of it, or do it, if you're on a computer and you can type super good, just type it on your computer and email it to me, okay?
All right, I am about to open up breakout rooms. Please make sure you accept the request when it pops up on your screen. All right, Jesse, I think everybody is back from the breakout rooms. Okay, so there are 7 breakout rooms. Let's start with breakout room 1, which is Alita, Amber, and Adriana. If you could let us know who's going to present.
It's Adriana. So we have ours typed up, so we'll email that to you, Jesse. So we did breakfast sandwiches, super easy. Egg muffins are super cheap, always having eggs and cheese. If we're wild and crazy, we'll add turkey bacon if it's not too expensive. We'll buy a watermelon for the whole week or those 3 days. Lunches are really easy. We'll have dinner leftovers for lunch. And then if we need to stretch it more, having 1 pound of ground turkey, already pre-cooked, mixed in with like black beans, and have taco salads. And then our dinner was pretty easy, getting the cheapest chicken that we can, baking some of it, boil, and then getting the rest of it to have shredded chicken tacos. And then whatever we have left over from baked chicken with mixed veggies one night, and the tacos, then we throw it all into a soup. So pretty simple. Having watermelon for dessert with all of it. And yeah.
All right, in breakout room 2, that's Ashley Kenyon, the DeVries, Delia, Eric, Eva, and Taylor was also a part of that room. But who would like to speak?
I will, Ashley will. So we decided to do spaghetti with a strawberry spinach salad. And then we'd have like the cheese with the spaghetti. And then we figured we would just get a bigger pack of ground beef so that the next night we could make it into chili with some cornbread and then have some fruit salad on for dessert. And then for the last night, we decided on French toast with whole wheat bread and bacon, and using eggs that already come from the chickens that we have. And then having like bananas or blueberries left over that go with some of our other meals for the rest of the week.
I can go for group 3.
Group 3? Okay, perfect.
So yeah, we used a lot. We bought eggs, and we're going to use those throughout the week for some breakfasts so those are pretty cheap. And then we're going to use those as leftovers later in the week for fried rice, because we'll have the rice in the pantry and some canned pineapple that we can add to the fried rice, and some veggies that were in our freezer. And let's see, we did another breakfast was a smoothie with fruit from the freezer and some yogurt we had to buy. And then we're talking about buying a big thing of chicken that then we could use for chicken and noodles with frozen veggies thrown in. And so we do chicken quesadillas. And then for the lunches for us, we were talking about chef salad, they could put chicken in there, or chicken salad that we could use whole grain crackers that were in our pantry.
Group 4.
Hi. Yeah, I can talk. So we did oatmeal. We were like, it's fine if they just have the same thing all 3 mornings for breakfast. So they could do like oatmeal or eggs, which is something that all of us normally have on hand. For lunch, PB&J sandwiches with veggies and fruit, quesadillas, and then Kat Palmer had a good idea of just doing like a giant veggie platter with hummus. And then dinners, tacos with lots of veggies, spaghetti and salad, and then like a loaded stir fry with cabbage actually instead of even grains sometimes.
Beautiful.
All right, group 5.
So for breakfast and lunch, we thought we would save some money and do the free lunches for the kids. And then for the adults, obviously, we did like oatmeal with fruit for the morning, and then we did mason jar salads for lunch for the adults. For dinner, we kind of covered ground beef for all 3 of our dinners. I kind of spread over it. So we did spaghetti and for one dinner with whole wheat bread, and then we did salad with nuts and cheese on top. And then we did a canned fruit, or you can put fruit on your salad if you want to. And then we did pudding for dessert. And then on the second night, we did chili. A lot of people like to put rice on their chili. And then, of course, cheese. You gotta love cheese on chili. And then we did cornbread. And then we did apples with cinnamon. And then we did like a veggie kind of dip. And then for this third dinner, we did a beef stew with barley. And then we did whole grain wheat bread, and then we did like a fruit salad or a fruit cocktail for dinner. That's about it.
And then in room 6, we have Rachel, Sabrina, Sarah, Sharice, and Sierra.
Yep. Okay, so day 1, we did omelets with bell peppers, the frozen bell peppers. They're super cheap, like $1 for a bag. For breakfast with fruit cups and milk. And then lunch is chicken salad, like chicken salad sandwiches. Do I have to say what we had on hand already? Or
No, you don't have to say it. You can just write, like, note it on there. Just cross it out.
all right. So chicken salad sandwiches with apples and grapes inside of it, and then lettuce on top. And then we used Greek yogurt instead, because we get that with WIC. And then for dinner that day was ground beef tacos with all of the toppings, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, which are also things, and then fruit smoothie from the leftover fruit cups from the morning time. Breakfast for day 2 is breakfast burritos with our leftovers, added in the leftover tomatoes, onions, salsa, etc. for the breakfast burritos, and then apples and grapes from our chicken salad that we had left over, and then a cup of milk. And then lunch was taco bowls. It's lots of leftovers going on, but it works. So taco bowls with the leftovers with all of the lettuce, tomatoes, etc. So we're getting our everything in there with a little bit of, you could use the taco shell still if you wanted to eat it like a nachos or whatever. And then for dinner is rotisserie chicken. We bought a big chicken on when we had to go to the store, and that was used for our chicken salad. So that was cooked already. We had cooked it, and then so we had rotisserie chicken, baked potatoes, and salad with fruit, whatever leftover fruit that we have. And then day 3 was boiled eggs for breakfast. We bought like 5 dozen eggs whenever we needed to go buy them. And we got some from our neighbors because they have chickens also. And banana smoothie, toast, and milk. And then lunch was chicken quesadillas with the leftover chicken, apples and grapes, and then veggies and dip. And then for dinner, the 3rd day is turkey chili with the tomatoes. And we had canned tomatoes on hand and beans. We had bought zucchini for some salad earlier in the week. And what else was it? Cornbread and fruit smoothies from whatever smoothie stuff that we had, or whatever fruit that we had left over from all of the other meals, along with the Greek yogurt for dairy and protein as well in that smoothie.
So this is 7. So Amanda Archuleta, Melanie, Tabitha, Tanya, Vanessa. You guys are the last group.
Okay, what do you guys got?
I'm talking for group 7. We discussed keeping it minimal at breakfast. Usually everyone has cereal or oatmeal or yogurt on hand. And then lunch is usually at school for the kids. So we didn't really discuss in depth for lunch. For dinners, we figured a 5-pound roll of hamburger meat would work for 3 different dinners. You can do spaghetti. Because I know for me, we always have noodles on hand, so it doesn't necessarily have to be spaghetti noodles, but it could be any kind of noodle with the spaghetti sauce. Just make it fun if you use different noodles. And sauce is pretty much inexpensive. You can get cans of sauce for $1. And then just enough stuff for salad for 2 to 3 days. And then the next night doing tacos, because most of the time everyone has tortillas on hand, and it could just be flour or corn, doesn't have to be, or if you just get a big thing of corn tortillas, you can just make your own shells. And then that has all the vegetables in the taco with lettuce and tomato and dairy from the sour cream and cheese. And then what I do is I'll get the rice side packages, like the Spanish rice side packages, and just do the 2 of those, because it's only like $2 for 2 packs, and that usually works out for the side. And then if you buy enough stuff for salad, you just do another salad night. And then for the 3rd night, you can either do leftovers or repurpose your spaghetti leftovers into a pasta bake. That way it's kind of the same as spaghetti, but it's in a different form, so the kids think it's something different. Or you can just cook the rest of the hamburger into like a small casserole dish, into like a completely different one. But that was all we really had.
That sounds good. I like the idea. A lot of you guys came up with the same idea of using the same protein for the 3 days. A couple of you, I think group 6, maybe I would, even though the kids are eating oatmeal or cereal in the morning, we still want to get a little bit of extra fruit. So I'm going to add a little extra fruit to your list for the kids. And then, like I said, we'll see what the totals are next week, next time we all meet together, okay? Knowing that we're allowed to use the stuff that we always have in our pantry, okay? I'm gonna let Taylor take over for a little bit, and we're gonna talk about having a basic pantry. And this page is also gonna be in your booklets. A lot of these pages are, so we're gonna go through them kind of quickly, not too fast. And for the recipe she's gonna go over, I'll show you where to find those as well, okay?
So it sounds like all of you kind of had really great things already stocked in your pantry. And I think a lot of the same benefits of meal planning kind of correspond to also keeping a really good pantry, because having a well-stocked pantry is probably one of the, I think, one of the easiest ways to make meal planning much easier. So as we kind of mentioned, if you're ever stuck in a bind where you can't really go to the grocery store, whether it be for budget reasons or just time reasons, you need to put a meal together. It's always good to have those things on hand so that you're not going hungry or having to go out and buy pizza every single night. So benefits of a well-stocked pantry include creating healthy meals and snacks in a hurry, and no need to run back out to the store, saving money, so you can also oftentimes stock up on pantry items, and then also use those as substitutes, which we'll talk about in just a second here. So if you are trying to make a recipe and it calls for something that's really expensive or that you just don't have, sometimes it's really easy to kind of sub those out for things that you already do have on hand. And then also using those things if you forgot an ingredient, that's a really good one too. As a side note, I made cookies with my sister yesterday and she does not keep a well-stocked pantry, so we went to the grocery store twice. So it took much longer than it needed to. So here are some really good ideas for things that you should be keeping in your pantry. So baking products, those are good for baked goods, obviously. I know some of you mentioned that you like making cornbread with chili. So having that flour, sugar, the cornmeal on hand so you can quickly put that together. It's also good to have on hand if you happen to have like a lot of bananas that go bad and you just make a banana bread. So a lot of those things are basics, not just for like desserts, but other things that we eat throughout the week. Canned beans and fish are really good sources of shelf-stable protein. So I think a lot of the times our protein tends to be the biggest source of our grocery budget because meat does tend to be pretty expensive. I know a lot of you had really good ideas on buying it in bulk and dividing it out, which is awesome. So that's definitely a good way to save money. But also utilizing these canned proteins is really great. And the additional perk of that is that you don't have to worry about like accidentally giving yourself food poisoning because they're already cooked. Canned fruits and vegetables are great as well. I'm sure in your last class with Jesse, you talked about the benefits of fresh, frozen, and canned produce. So they all have vitamins and minerals, and the canned fruits and vegetables you can keep and not have to worry about them going bad. You can just throw them into any meals you're making. Canned or powdered milk can be good to have on hand if you do use a lot of milk. Milk also can be pretty expensive and it tends to go bad pretty quickly. I know in some families, milk is drank really quickly. So having those other options on hand for substituting in recipes. Canned tomato products, I use these a lot. Cooking Matters has like a turkey taco recipe that uses canned tomatoes. You can make your own spaghetti sauce, you can put it in curries. There's a really good base for a lot of different meals. Cereals are a good source of whole grain, so you can use them like just with milk as like a breakfast for your kids. Or again, Cooking Matters has a really good recipe for using like cornflakes to make like chicken nuggets. So kind of getting creative with how we're using our whole grains. Dried fruits and nuts, kind of as like a snack for trail mix. Dried herbs and spices can be a really good way to make your food taste better and add more flavor without having to add a lot of salt. And then oil for cooking. A lot of you mentioned having pasta and rice on hand. That's always a good one to have that grain component of your meal because those keep really well. And then vinegar is also a really good one, especially for salad dressings. So I think this chart was in the booklet that you guys received a couple weeks ago, but it just gives you some ideas on things that you can easily substitute for each other. So whether it's something you can't find because it's not in season, or it's something that's really expensive, or if you're just trying to use something that you already have in your kitchen, these are just some really good ideas for things that you can kind of sub out. So for example, I would say like our summer squash, we're moving into the fall season. So our summer squash are going out of season. So using those sweet peppers or carrots is a really good idea. And then it also differentiates if you're using it raw or if you're using it cooked. So they have similar properties. So these next couple of slides we're going to show are part of the Cooking Matters at Home guide. So Jesse will be showing you how to access these. But these are really good kind of like a choose your own adventure for meals. So instead of thinking like you always have to have different recipes and trying to be really creative with that, this can be a really good way just to have an idea of what you want to make and then kind of change it up so it doesn't get boring. So kind of like, I think in the last group you mentioned repurposing your pasta leftovers into like a pasta bake. That's kind of along the similar idea. So we call these recipe frameworks, and really any recipe can be a framework. So if you are just changing ingredients, so if it's like something that your kid prefers, if they really don't like a fruit or vegetable and you want to sub that out, or if you're just using something that's on sale or that you already have, you can kind of do this with any recipe. But these are really good kind of like step-by-step ideas. And so you'll see here on the left, there's the different columns. So you can just choose one or multiple of those, and then just kind of combine them together to make a pasta meal. And then so over on the right hand, there's some ideas for combos that we've tried that are really good. And then at the bottom there are some different ideas for pasta sauces. So pasta sauce is really cheap if you buy it from the grocery store, but it can be good to kind of make your own too and just kind of have fun with it. So here's another one of those recipe frameworks for salads. I know a lot of you mentioned salads in your meal planning, and salads are great because it's a really good way to get that half of your plate fruits and vegetables. So even if you're having something that's not really fruit and vegetable heavy, by adding in a salad as a side, that's a really good way to get those in. So again, they're different columns. So you want like a base of some sort of greens, add in extra veggies, protein if you want. So if you're making it as like a side, you may not need a protein, but if you're making it more as of your main meal, like those mason jar salads that were mentioned, adding in some protein is a really good way to kind of bulking it up and make it more of a filling meal. And then also adding in just those fun things on top. And then over here on the right, these are some really good ideas for salad dressing. So I think salad dressing at the grocery store, if you're buying it by the bottle, it can be kind of expensive sometimes. And they can also have a lot of different additives in them. So making your own salad dressing is a really good way to save money and just kind of be more in control of what you're eating. This first one that's up here on the top, the olive oil or canola oil, the vinegar, mustard, and salt and pepper is a really, really good one. You can also add in some garlic, and it pretty much goes with anything. And then so here's some other ideas as well, depending on what kind of salad you're making. So if it's you want to make like a honey mustard or a citrus dressing, there's a lot of really good ideas in there.
And real fast, and we were talking about, this reminded me of when I was in the breakout room. So when you're talking about adding proteins, in one of the breakout rooms, everyone was talking about, oh, we're gonna make chicken salad, we wanna add nuts. So someone else said, well, nuts are way too expensive. So one tip that I wanna add about nuts real fast while I remember is buying them in the baking section rather than the snack section. If you go to where like the flour and sugar and stuff like that is, they're gonna be a lot cheaper in that section than they are with the snacks where the peanuts and the chips are. And then if you ever do find them on sale and you want to keep them for a long time, nuts have a lot of oil on them, so you put them in your freezer. So if you ever find nuts on sale, buy them and stick them in your freezer, and the freezer will keep that oil from going rancid. So the nuts, because a lot of people don't know nuts go bad, but they can. Real quick, another protein, my favorite is to roast garbanzo beans or roast some kind of bean and add that to a salad, and it just makes it so much more filling.
And also, if anyone has any other salad ideas besides the ones that you shared in the first session, if you want to share that in the chat, because I think you all had a lot of really good salad ideas.
Every potluck, like everyone has a favorite salad, so everybody put in the chat your favorite is absolute favorite. We won't shout them out right now, but everyone can look at them as they come up. Ooh. Okay.
And then here is another one of those framework ideas. So I think the first group mentioned repurposing leftovers in the soup. I think that's one of the best ways to make soup. And this is a really good one too, because even though it's can be like very diet friendly, it's also very filling and it feels like hearty, especially as we're moving into the winter season. So for this one, it's kind of along the same lines of choosing each of the different categories, and then there's also directions here down at the bottom. So typically if you are using some sort of meat protein, it's best to cook it first. That way you know that your meat is cooked thoroughly, and then adding in the vegetables after, and then adding in your liquid. And then you can either cook your greens separately, or sometimes I'll cook my greens in my soup. So I make a lot of just like really basic chilies. So using like those canned tomatoes, those canned beans, and then like any vegetables I have in my fridge that are going bad or that I want to use up, I'll just throw those all into one big pot by themselves. And then I'll just add quinoa and enough water to cook that down. And it always cooks really well in it. If you're using something like brown rice, you probably want to cook that separately, just because brown rice can be a little bit finicky, and just making sure it's cooked all the way through. And then adding different seasonings can be a really good way to make your soup taste good. So especially usually using some sort of broth or stock is going to add more flavor to your soup, but a lot of the times those do have a lot of extra sodium in them. Or if you just don't want to buy that, you just want to use water, because water is available and free. Adding in those different seasonings can make it just taste really good, and kind of make it your own as well.
Yeah, I think any single one of these recipes, frameworks, you know, always picking out a spice or trying a new spice at the store, buying a spice you've never tried before, and trying it in any one of these frameworks will give you like a new idea of each spice. So like, especially the discount ones at Walmart or King Soopers, like you can get a new spice for like $2 or something like that. The more exotic ones, you can buy at Sprouts in bulk. If it's a spice you haven't tried, but you don't want to spend $5 on a jar, you can go to Sprouts and just buy it bulk and just get like a couple tablespoons of a different spice to try. I'm going to go back in the chat and we're going to do salads. So everyone's saying hard-boiled eggs in salad is super good. Cabbage. Chef salad, spinach with oranges. Oranges and spinach are really good to eat together because the iron and the vitamin C work really well together. Strawberry spinach salad, that's my favorite, with poppy seed dressing. Chef salad. Lettuce, tomato, green peppers, cheese, and grapes. Mandarin oranges. Someone said buy bulk in nuts, not buy nuts in bulk at Sam's Club. Okay, so that's the chat. So a real quick review. We have more time, so I guess we might have been able to do all those introductions, but we'll go over some of the recipes. There's a couple that I can show you at the end that are not frameworks, but they're just Cooking Matters recipes. So our takeaways today is plan weekly menus in advance to save money and stress, okay? That way we're gonna eat healthier. And if you ask your family for what they want to include in the menu, then you're gonna get better buy-in, fewer fights. And flip side is keeping a basic pantry to make sure that you have those items together and don't have to run out to the store every single time you want to make a meal. This right here, if you Google Cooking Matters recipes, there's a whole bunch of different videos of the recipes on there. And here's the app that I was telling you about. It has the recipes that you can pick from. It'll make a shopping list for you. And then you go through and check off the items that you already have if you want to get the Cooking Matters app. It's not made for iPhone. It's only made for Android. So. our Cooking Matters Colorado Facebook page. We'll put up little recipe ideas and things like that every once in a while. And this is the one I want to show you. So this Cooking Matters at Home is different than the one that I sent you guys in the mail, but this one you can access online. So real fast, let me try to pull that up. Okay. Can you guys all see this? The Cooking Matters at Home book?
Yes.
So in here are our framework recipes. So our pasta dinner with all the different things that you can use. It has a couple different sauces. This peanut sauce is a really good one. Oh, that one's not on here, but you can Google Thai peanut sauce and it is so good. It makes a different kind of a pasta dinner than just a like a spaghetti sauce. So don't forget that in addition to spaghetti, we can do like a red sauce, we can do white sauces, butter sauce, butter with herbs, cheese sauces, all that different stuff. So in here is the soup framework, a casserole framework. This is great when you're trying to use an item for multiple dinners because you can really do just about anything with casseroles. Dips for snacks that are going to be healthier than the ones we buy at the store. Make your own trail mix with the kids, super fun. Make your own baby food, super easy. Some knife basics, which we'll go over that a little bit next week, but you can also look up really cool, if you want to look up videos on knife skills, just look up Google knife skills and hit videos, and there's so many. It's just amazing to watch. This will have all the cooking terms, which I think was in the other book as well. Ideas for kids in the kitchen. This is the one that I was telling you, if you put this on your refrigerator for leftovers, it tells you how long to store the leftovers. So there's one in your book and in this book about how to store produce when you first buy it, but this is how to help like store stuff that's already been cooked, things like that as well. Ideas on how to save money and make things last. The pantry one, the substitutions, freezing fruits and vegetables. So if you want to buy something that's on sale, but you want to save it for a really long time, we have a video on blanching that'll show you how to blanch it. You just dip it in boiling water for a few minutes. And so this is the guide of how many minutes each one has to be in the boiling water and anything you have to do to prepare for that. Some of the stuff we went over last week. Bean basics. So how to cook beans without screwing them up is very useful. I like the quick soak method. That's usually the quick soak method is on the back of the beans. That's not, the quick soak method is not in here. So let me tell you guys really fast. You're gonna, oh no, it's here. So you boil the beans for 5 minutes and then you turn the heat off and you cover it and you let it sit for an hour, okay? Then you drain all that water out, rinse it, and then you fill it up with water again and cook it. So instead of soaking it overnight, you just boil that for 5 minutes and let it sit for an hour, and then it's only going to take like an hour and a half to cook, just as if you had soaked them overnight. Still takes a little bit of prep time. You got to think about it an hour before dinner, but it's doable. Yeah, and how all the different beans, how much time they take to cook. Or snacks for the babies and a little bit of fitness activities. So this is a really useful book. This is going to get emailed to you guys all. So I would not ditch that email. I would save this because this has really good stuff in it. Okay. Really fast. The video I want to show you guys is someone was talking about how their favorite food is fried chicken. So instead of KFC at Cooking Matters, we make this, we call it BFC, baked flake chicken. And it's made with the corn flakes and it's baked, but it's so good. Somehow it traps all the moisture inside and keeps it really yummy. So I'm going to try and play this. I'm hoping you guys can hear it though. So I have my sound shared. Okay. Okay, could you all see that okay? Oh no, it's playing another one now. Hold on. Okay. No, we don't want your chicken. Okay. Okay, am I back to normal, you guys? Can you see me?
Yes.
Did you see the video and hear it okay? Of the chicken?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right. We have more videos. If you guys want to go over more videos, I think we have more time. I was worried about running out of time, so we went through stuff kind of quickly. Or if you guys want to do question and answers, we can do that as well. Real fast, put in the chat any questions you guys might have or anything else. If there's another topic you want to talk about before we go. Otherwise, I can show you more videos of the different recipes that Cooking Matters has. Okay. So this one is delicious and it really fits into the pasta framework. So we have our wheat macaroni, whole wheat macaroni, so whole grain. We have all our vegetables, bell pepper, onion, garlic, tomatoes. And then we have our ground turkey. Or you could even do like maybe a red bean or something like that if you needed to. And then our spices. So the spices is kind of what makes it fun. Anything Italian, thyme is going to be a really great one. The cheap one is just the Italian seasoning. That's $1 at Walmart, and it has all the thyme, oregano, and parsley in it, I think. And so it's really good. You can add, if your kids like macaroni and cheese, you can even add more macaroni and cheese to that. I mean, sorry, more cheese to make it like macaroni. Okay. This is the recipe for that baked flake chicken. Sometimes it takes a long time to do the dipping. Someone doesn't like whole wheat pasta in the chat. Michelle said, can we skip the whole wheat pasta? You can skip the whole wheat pasta as long as you eat whole wheat bread at lunchtime, right? It only has to be half. Okay. So again, this has the corn flakes on it. Corn is also a whole grain. And baking it is going to reduce all the fat in it. So real fast, I was comparing this baked flake chicken to the KFC chicken breast. And what I discovered is that it has 180 less calories. Okay, but the big one is the fat. So if you go to KFC and get original chicken breast, is going to have 21 grams of fat. But if you make this yourself, one of these breasts is only going to have 7 grams of fat. So a third of the amount of fat, and it's going to be half of the amount of saturated fat. And the biggest one is sodium. So KFC is going to have 1,200 milligrams of sodium. So that's more than half of your sodium for the entire day. And if you make this one at home, it only has 310 grams of sodium. So it's really like a quarter of the amount of sodium. And if you want extra flavor, instead of adding salt, you can, in the step where they put the eggs and the milk in together, you can put like some buffalo sauce in there and make it like a buffalo chicken recipe. Or you can add just more, I like to add cayenne. If you're using a dry spice, add it to the cornflakes. And if you're using something wet that's spicy or more flavor, you add it to the wet ingredient. In the chat, Michelle, since she doesn't like whole wheat pasta, Amelia said they have whole grain pastas that taste very similar to Enrich. So they do now, you can get a high fiber pasta, or if you are ever at Trader Joe's, the brown rice pasta is actually really good. It doesn't have that graininess that the whole grain pasta has, the whole wheat flour pasta. Another suggestion with a pasta that I learned from another Cooking Matters coordinator is to mix half whole wheat pasta and half of that veggie pasta. That's the 3 colored ones. When you mix those together, you kind of, the veggie pasta, the texture overrules that grainy whole wheat pasta texture. And so sometimes that works for me. And again, just like with the kids, if we just try it a couple times, sometimes we might like it after we give it a few tries, 10 to 12 tries.